As of this recording, BronyCon 2019, the last BronyCon, is going to be wrapping up in about a month. Again, as of this recording, so maybe it's long gone since you watched this. I figured this would be a good opportunity to take a look at one of the first BronyCons ever, or at least one of the first biggest ones, BronyCon 2012. It was my first BronyCon, and it was also one of the first big BronyCons. I believe it had about 4,000 attendees. They maxed out the venue. Anyway, this is going to be an unscripted revisit of some of the old footage I have from BronyCon 2012. Anyway, let's jump in with our first clip. So here we are in the line to get into BronyCon 2012. I was near the front of the line, as you could tell. Lots of excitement building. There are all these special guests coming by. As you can see, I just missed Tara Strong on camera there. I offered my hand. My hand was out there for him to shake, but I guess he missed it. Right here at this moment, I believe it was. Yep, he just didn't see it. So yeah, we're about to revisit a lot of painful memories for me. A lot of cringe, I guess you could say. As you're about to see, this is all like unfiltered, raw 2012 Little Shy here. Looks like they're making another pass here. They want to have Tara Strong and John Lancie walking through. So that was like a scripted setup for the documentary. In case you've seen that, you can actually you might be able to go back and see like my shoulder in the documentary here, I believe. There's the camera recording. So yeah, it was fun to see all the cameras all around. It was also a lot of fun to see all these familiar faces. I believe that's Joe Stevens. If you don't recognize him now, he was pretty popular back in the day. And here's one of my friends who I forced him to come to BronyCon with me. And this is one of the awkward moments I mentioned. I keep shoving the camera in his face, trying to get him to talk to the camera because I was feeling a little shy. Anyway, here's Joe Stevens and Tech Rat, I believe his name was. Again, these are old names from way back, 2012. So I don't believe they're active in the fandom anymore, but they were the presenters for Everfree Network, which is another big name that was, brings back memories.
Let's try this again, I think. Let's try this one more time. Are you ready?
So they're riling up the crowd. Everyone's excited, ready to go. So that camera there isn't the documentary. That camera was with Everfree Network. This was back when cons were regularly live streamed, actually, so you could tune in from home to experience part of this convention. Of course, it's it's much better to be there in person, much more fun, much more energetic. Everyone's really excited to get in there. We've been waiting. I believe it was a few hours, actually. As you can see, I'm near the front of the line, so I had one of the longest waits to get in. As usual with these conventions, there's singing, there's chanting, there's excitement. People occasionally come out and say hi and wave and shake hands. And yeah, even just being in line for hours somehow managed to be exciting. Just the anticipation building and seeing all these familiar faces. And of course, at newer conventions is seeing familiar people in the line with you. Of course, at this time, I was still new in the fandom, so I don't think I knew anyone here except for the friend I brought. Or I should say the friend I forced to come with me, the poor guy. And here's the head of security telling everyone that they can come in. This was a big moment, and as the herd rushes to get in, I made jokes about people getting trampled, but no, as far as I know, that never happened. Everyone's really excited to get in here, as you can probably tell. As the excitement builds, the camera gets shakier and shakier. Myself, my friend, and my dad was the attendees, I should have mentioned, and we have a goal here. The goal is to get to the Enterplay booth and pick up their free trading cards. And for those who don't know, the trading cards they were giving away at the time was the promo rarity, F40 I think it was, I don't remember. Anyway, that card used to go for $500 shortly after its release. I actually sold one for almost that much, and yeah. So that was a big deal. We rushed to get there, pick up some trading cards. That was the first priority. But as you can see, here's a first look at Vendor Hall. And of course, I rushed right over to the guest booth to get a close-up, a creepy, awkward zoom shot of Lauren Faust, Tara Strong, Nicole Oliver, a whole bunch of big names there. And of course, here's the We Love Fine booth. Some of the best t-shirts and other swag, pony merch, all that good stuff. And here's a first look at the main hall. It's just starting to fill in. I think opening ceremonies is starting soon. Everyone's in Vendor Hall at the moment, so this will fill in really quickly in a moment. And this is the beginning of a meme. My dad wearing the I'm With Him badge. He does that every year now. And here we go with opening ceremonies appears to be starting. Quite a few bronies in this room. So here's a whole bunch of familiar faces. I'm not even going to try to name them all. This was such a big moment for me personally. Seeing all these people in person was like a dream come true, and I was just in awe. Again, it's kind of awkward and cringy looking back, but these were some really talented people. I was happy to see them on stage. And here's a quick look at vendor hall. It was always about that crowded. And here's I recognized Livestream Procaster because I used the same thing for my live streams at the time. I believe this is the musicians panel, so a lot of familiar faces there as well. Tombstone, Alex S. I think that's Eurobeat Brony there, and Mike the Microphone, and yeah, this was also a big deal. Lots of big names on stage all at once. Another look at vendor hall. It was always about this crowded. That was one of the biggest problems with BronyCon 2012 is that it was definitely overcrowded, and the overcrowdedness actually, you may remember, it became a problem later on. I believe it was the second day. We'll get to that shortly. And there's the big rig. They had a giant screen, some speakers set up. That was a lot of fun. And there's another shot of the big rig. That was very memorable. That was one of those weird oddities you didn't really expect. And of course, here's the rest, the outside of the con. I believe this was the line for registration for those who hadn't pre-registered, or possibly an autographs line. I'm not really sure what that is over there. Here's a bad shot of the entrance, and a slightly better shot of the entrance. Here's an attempted shot at the crowd. It's so blurry, it's horrible, but at least you can get an idea of how many people are in that room. There's a lot of bronies there. I believe this was the voice actor panel specifically. They're just saying hi and introducing everyone. I could be misremembering. It was, what, like 7, 8 years ago? Something crazy like that. Lots of people in the crowd, everyone always holding up plushies and random pictures and, of course, cell phone cameras. And there's one of the many camera guys following people around for the documentary. It was kind of fun to watch them. You don't usually see that behind-the-scenes aspect. I believe this is the Cosplay Photoshoot, which was a lot of fun to see, and actually I'll tell you an interesting story in a moment, but it was just too crowded to get all these cosplayers in one spot for pictures. It was crazy, but in the best possible way. And the interesting fact about this Cosplay Photoshoot is this was my little ticket to fame here, actually. If you go on Wikipedia, if you look up the Brony fandom, or My Little Pony fandom, I think it's called, look in the photo, you'll see a photo of this Cosplay Photoshoot. But interesting to note is in the bottom right, I believe it is, that head right there, that hat, that derpy hat, that's my head. So yes, if you look up bronies on Wikipedia, I'm part of that definition, I guess you could say. I don't know, fun fact. So yeah, this was all new to me, new to a lot of people, I'm sure, of seeing cosplayers in the wild. Of course, it's a common sight these days, but at the time, this was one of the biggest attractions of going to a con. It's just seeing a bunch of people dressed up and having fun. There's another shot of the cosplay. They got everyone into groups based on character, which was pretty neat.
I find that weird. I think I saw one.
Oh no. This was my attempt to record content. I don't know what we're doing, but whatever we were doing wasn't good enough to be in the video, that's for sure. And here I am playing director, trying to tell my friend what to do and boss him around. I look back on this with so much cringe. I just remember marveling at the MLP bumper sticker. Wow! Here's us just walking the hall, checking out all the vendors. This was, again, quite a sight to behold. So many vendors and panels and people, cosplayers and people dressed up, playing music. And here's a random dance party, also a staple of BronyCon. You know, I mean, outsiders look at this and say this is weird and cringy and wrong, but like, no, it's just a bunch of people having fun, you know? So I was recording some cosplayer doing an interview, and I was suddenly distracted by Best Pony here. She stole my attention. So yes, here's MLP Online, which we don't really we didn't get to see much of this because unfortunately Hasbro took it down. It's one of the earlier cease and desist issues. Most people probably haven't heard of the name these days. I believe Legends of Equestria kind of took this game's place, you know. And here's another random dance party in the works. I'm trying to remember if base cannon was actually a thing at the time. It probably was. Oh, and here we tracked down the derpy fursuit. We wanted to get like a bro hoof, and unfortunately, those darn children always stealing the spotlight. So my friend's going, he says he's going for a high five, but we're just going to pretend it's a bro hoof. And there you go. Look at that mark of achievement right there. So besides the panels and activities and events, this is BronyCon in a nutshell. Just people gathering together, having fun. So this was also a semi-spontaneous event of them just breaking out into song live on stream. And what's notable is you'll see in a moment here, let's just reposition the camera. So as they're singing the Smile song, there's Amy Keating Rogers right there. She's the writer. She came up with the song, I'm pretty sure. And it's kind of funny because as the song goes on, it looks everyone's kind of apprehensive at first, but then everyone kind of just relaxes and they really get into the spirit of the song. I remember at the time just thinking it was amazing that all these bronies like even knew the lyrics to this weird song from this little kid's show. Like, it's a lot of little things like this you take for granted these days. Again, it's kind of funny. At first they were apprehensive, and then towards the end of the song itself is so energetic that everyone started swaying and singing louder. So here's the ride home for the day. I believe we had a hotel that was like half an hour away, so that was a mistake you only make the first year. And what's interesting is here we're talking about the capacity and fire hazard issue. And this is very notable. As many of you probably know, we're about to find out the next day I had some fire-related issues, but we'll get to that in a moment. And here we are back at the hotel relaxing, but what's of note is we actually have the live stream of the con on the computer while we were at the hotel room, so we never really missed a moment of the con. The charity auction, which is again another big staple of Brony conventions. Lots of interesting items. I see there's I believe that's like original art or something from the show. I could be wrong. I thought she might have mentioned it. So yeah, these charity auctions are always a big deal at cons, even today. I don't necessarily know if BronyCon 2012 is what started the Brony convention charity auctions, but it's definitely one of the first ones, and that's notable. And here's the one, the only Dusty Cat coming out on stage. He has a very interesting item to auction off for charity. Let's watch a moment. So of course the acoustics are terrible, you can barely understand him, but my understanding is that he's actually auctioning off a piece of his very famous mustache. Again, all for charity. I think it went up for over $100. I forget the exact amount, but over $100 for a piece of his mustache. I do apologize, I don't have all the details, but I believe this was one of the biggest items of the charity auction. A giant poster signed by like everyone. Well, maybe not literally everyone, but a lot of big names there. I believe this went for over $1,000 as well. Again, I apologize for not having specifics. Maybe someone in the comments can correct me. But yeah, this was one of the big ticket items everyone was really excited for. And as you can see in a moment, as the bidding increases, goes back and forth, and the excitement builds, and yeah, it's just such a fun event to see all this. And again, even better is that it's all for charity. So I believe there was one autograph missing, or one notable autograph missing from this charity auction item. And that was Lauren Faust herself, which she's actually signing now live on stage. So as I mentioned, yeah, that definitely added to the excitement and definitely contributed towards people wanting to bid on this fine item, I suppose. So here's a shot of just after the big charity auction. People filing out as people file in. This was how they rotated panels at the time. It definitely changed how it's much better organized these days. And here we are about to head out. As you can see, people kind of gather outside, and even when the big rig speakers are off, they find a way to make their own entertainment. Even those in nearby hotels still found a way to participate in the action.
No, it doesn't look like anyone to me.
There's just so much excitement and energy here. It's almost like baffling. Random bro hooves. Maybe you could say we were the ones to start that trend. I'm actually not sure what's going on here. Yeah, if someone can explain to me what this is, like an anime or something, I don't know what they're doing. I'm pretty sure I know what they're doing now. It looks like they're forming a mosh pit of sorts. Or as one person who's yelling out mentioned, random circles. So here we are on day 2, a nice shot of the entrance there, and it was always pretty much this crowded. And again, the party continues the next morning. Quite a few fewer people now. I suppose everyone from last night was still in bed. And if I recall correctly, this is a podcast panel. A couple notable people on there, including Saber and Paleo on the far right there. Those are probably the only 2 I recognized at the time. And here's a random car. I guess it was a notable car because it had some pony stickers on it. I'm not really sure. Maybe this was the guy from the documentary. I don't know why this random car got so much of a spotlight here. But the car became relevant later during the fire incident, which we'll get to. It was kind of blocking the fire department from what I hear. But we'll get to that in a moment. And yeah, this was really cool. I think it was Laser Pone 3 or Laser Pony. I'm sorry, I don't know the guy personally, but he brought his laser. And he was shining some cool images on the wall there. I believe it was also a part of BronyPalooza. Unfortunately, I don't have any BronyPalooza footage. But yeah, this laser was really cool. It looks so much better in person than on camera. Okay, this is the moment we hear about a fire, and we have to evacuate.
Okay, we're having a fire hazard. I'm sorry to interrupt. Exits to the sides, please.
But as you can see, it was dripping down from the light. And yeah, it's actually a fun story. I actually was sitting right underneath of the light shortly before this happened, and I only got up to leave to the Enterplay booth to buy my trading cards. So I would have had a very close-up view of the fire if I hadn't gone up to get those trading cards right there. And of course, during evacuation, I ran into Solrak. Solrak, if you're watching this, I'm sorry I was such a cringe fest. So yes, the evacuation continues.
Basically, you've had 2 fires on this trip. First, our hotel caught on fire, and now the convention center. So fabulous.
Well, either way, this is a good crowd shot for my video.
Yep, a good crowd shot indeed. Oh, and again, pressing my friend to talk to the camera.
A light fixture caught on fire, and there's flaming plastic that was crashing down on the audience.
Yes, flaming plastic crashing down on the audience. No, as far as I know, no one was hurt. It actually wasn't too bad. The biggest deal here, the biggest issue was just evacuating everyone. And as you can see, that was quite orderly and calm.
I think they're kind of unaware of what's going on. No, they have to have some clue by now. Can you see my dad? Yeah, he should be over here.
So here I'm actually mentioning where my dad is. And he was sitting pretty much right underneath of the light.
Mustang. They're going to bring a fire truck in the back. Summer BronyCon 2012. Fire.
And that is the extent of the vlog. Thank you very much for watching. Goodbye, everyone. No, yeah, as I'm sure you've surmised by now, vlogging was not my strong suit. And here's a cool shot of a Mare Duel cosplayer taking advantage of a situation to show off an awesome cosplay. Here comes the police to get us organized. As you can tell, you can't quite get past the bronies in the middle of the road. Move it, move it, move it. And here comes the fire department. The cavalry is here to save the day. And this random minivan won't get out of the road, and the cop just shrugs at them like, what are you doing? Get off the road. There's a fire truck behind you. I don't know why. I just thought that shot was so funny. So everyone's cheering as the fire department arrives. At this point, everyone's aware, you know, like no one's hurt. It's not a serious issue. So everyone's trying to make the most of it, trying to have a little bit of fun with it. Here's a good shot. Look at all these people. Probably about 4,000 people here breaking out into random song. And, you know, again, this kind of, the fire wasn't supposed to happen, obviously, but it kind of added to the experience. And it's one of the most memorable parts of BronyCon 2012, for the better, I think. The only real loss is I think a couple panels had to be canceled, but other than that, the fire was kind of a net positive. So they finally let us back in, just in time for the Ponies Anthology 2 panel. I'm kind of kicking myself for not covering the fire better. I believe right to my right on the ceiling I would have seen the light. Fun fact, I was a big fan of Ponies Anthology, and actually, I've been on Anthology 6 and 7 now, so it's so weird how times change, how I moved up from fan to actually being a contributor. Again, I'm not sure, but I believe this is just like a John Lancie panel. And he was kind of like everyone's hero at the time, as you can see in this hero shot of him with the Brony shirt and everyone giving him a standing ovation. This was a big deal, you know? Not only for the big documentary everyone was hyped for, but also just everyone was just so excited to see him, not only in person, but just being on the show. And here's everyone singing the My Little Pony theme song. And there's the one last standing ovation for John Lancie. At the time, he was the Brony hero. And I guess he still is. You know, he's still pretty active in the show. Discord appears quite a bit. I believe this is actually coming up on closing ceremony. So here I am getting one last wide shot of everyone in the crowd. Again, super blurry. I apologize for the footage, but you know, you still see like there's so many people in here. So much excitement and energy. It's truly amazing. There you have it. We'll end this video with the closing ceremonies, I suppose. If you're watching this shortly after release, be sure to stay tuned for the BronyCon 2019 vlog, the final BronyCon. So stay tuned to my channel for a vlog of that and much more. Thank you so much again for watching, and I hope to see you next time.